The moment you bring in the concept of the individual, you then bring in the concept of property because the body of the individual is the first form of property. Once you bring in the concept of the individual, you bring in the concept of property. Once you bring in the concept of property, that concept grows to different forms of property, the property that is owned by the individual. And this concept of property begins to grow. What this concept of property does is then bring in the concept of theft, because then you start to create inequalities in the level of property. And so those without property start to desire property. And then you start to create conflict between those who have more property and those who have no property. This brings in the concept of theft. It brings in the concept of violence. So property, in a very real sense, is what creates the divisions, which creates the differences, which creates violence, theft, and so forth and so on. Because the concept of property creates this, there then becomes the need for protection. But if 10 of us have farms and we need all of our time dedicated to handling our farms, not dedicated to protecting our farms from those without farms, then we might take one of our 10 farm owners and say, John, you're the 10th farm owner. Why don't you do this? We know that your family needs to be supported. And the only way your family is going to be supported is by your farm producing. We'll take care of your farm. We just need you to be dedicated to protecting all the farms. So now your job is to protect the farms. We've got your farm. We'll make sure your family's okay. We'll make sure you make a good living. We've got your farm. Your farm's not going to go away. We just need you now dedicated to protection. And that concept right there, dedicating or relegating the job of protecting to someone else because you don't have time to protect yourself. This is what creates government. You understand? And so John becomes the governing body that every other 9 farm owners chips in a little bit of what they make to support John to protect the entire community of farmers. And then when John can't do it and it's not sufficient, there's another person they delegate. They're like, look, we'll take care of you. Here's some money. Your family doesn't have to worry about anything. We don't have the time to protect us, but now we need 2 people to protect us because there's more farms. There's more people who are farming now. There's more people with property. Now we need 2 people and then 3 people. And then all of a sudden you have a Congress and you have a Senate and you have a da. But the idea of government grows from the concept of property because property needs protecting. And so these protectors are supposed to do it via force initially and then via law. And then the law is supposed to be adhered to by force, military. And so governments have grown from the concept of property, protecting property, and the concept of property has grown from the conceptual idea of an individual. Now, this might seem to be waxing very philosophical, but I promise you that is very directly tied to your financial life and Bitcoin in particular.